This is going to be a very important election for Canadians. Make sure you do your part and get out and vote. As our 45th election could be the most important election in modern day history for our country, this could be the most important video that you watch prior to voting. We're going to quickly walk you through how to ensure you're registered to vote, tell you how you can vote, and what you will need to do when you do go to vote.
Let's take a look.
So prior to going to vote, you need to make sure that you are registered to vote. Elections Canada is advising that you do this before April the 22nd, but you can also do this on the day of voting. Approximately 95% of voters are already registered to vote. However, some Canadians, like new Canadians or young voters, might not be. And some others, like electors who recently moved, may need to update their address. This is a very simple process and you can do this online at elections.ca. Click on your preferred language and then click the image of the person on the laptop. Now, click the gray box that says check if you're registered, register, or update your address. Please read the information carefully. On this screen, you can also apply to vote by mail or by special ballot. And if you're going to do that, please click the link and read before you continue. Then click the start button, read the privacy and security information, and then click next. Now you'll be asked a series of questions to confirm your registration. At the end, you will see if you're registered to vote and if you are currently registered at your correct address, or you'll also have the option to update your address if required. If you're choosing to vote by special ballot and you'd like to sign up for mail-in ballot at this time, you'll also be required to provide ID. Next, we're going to speak about your voter information card. About 3 weeks before Election Day, which is roughly now, Elections Canada will mail personalized voter information cards to registered electors. The card tells them that they are registered to vote, and it also tells them where, when, and how to vote, and also how you can get more information. This card can be used as proof of address when voting. It must be used with another piece of ID in order to prove your identity. Now you may be asking, what if I don't get my voter card in the mail, or what if I don't get it when it's time to go to the advanced polls or even by Election Day? If you see that purple box there, you can type your postal code into that purple box. It'll ask you a few more questions about your address, and it will tell you what your polling station and what your riding is, as well as where your local Elections Canada office is. Now please keep in mind that you do have to go and vote at your assigned polling station. You cannot just go to any polling station in your riding. It has to be your assigned polling station, and that information will be present on your voter card. If you don't have it on your voter card, you can check it here. Next, we'll be discussing ways to vote. You can also find this information on elections.ca. So there are different ways that you can vote. You can vote by special ballot, also called mail-in ballot, which we touched on in the first section. You can also vote early at any Elections Canada office, which is done by special ballot. You can do this 7 days a week, and if you are wanting to vote at an Elections Canada office, you must do so by 6 p.m. on April the 22nd. Now, the first two options that we discussed include special ballots, which means you have to write in the candidate's name. You cannot write the name of the party, and you will not receive a traditional ballot that you may be used to seeing where the candidates' names are already listed and you cross one off or check one off. You have to write the candidate's name that you want to vote for in a blank spot on the ballot. You can also vote at advanced polling days, which are from April the 18th to April the 21st. And you can also vote on Election Day. There are also special processes for Indigenous electors, voting at seniors' residences, Canadians' forces, Canadians abroad, incarcerated electors, homeless electors, voting on campus, and remote, isolated, and low-density Indigenous communities. For information about these special cases, please visit the elections.ca website and click on one of these buttons. When you go to vote, whether it is by special ballot or by advanced polling or voting on Election Day, you will be required to present ID. So let's take a look at what ID is required to vote. Again, all this information is available on the elections.ca website. So you will be required to bring ID with you to vote. Option 1, you can bring a driver's license plus any other card issued by a Canadian government, whether that's federal, provincial, territorial, or local, with your photo, name, and current address. Option 2 is that you can bring 2 pieces of ID. Both must have your name and at least one of them must have your current address. In option 3, if you don't have an ID, you can still vote if you declare your identity and address in writing and have someone who knows you and who is also assigned to your specific polling station vouch for you. This person must be assigned to your polling station, not just in your writing. The voucher must be able to prove their identity and address, and they can only vouch for one person. So this means that if you required a voucher, you cannot then go and vouch for anyone else. And your voter registration card can be used as a piece of ID.
So, just so everybody is aware regarding the pieces of ID, and there may be questions of, well, doesn't this open up the opportunity for voter fraud? Elections Canada does have a number of controls that they don't necessarily disclose, but they have in the back end to validate that A, you are who you say you are, and that B, nobody at that address that you're actually declaring has voted yet, and C, that the person that is actually vouching for you has not vouched for anybody else, and they are who they say they are. And many of these controls aren't disclosed to the general public, because if they did, well, then you would be telling people how to get around and actually commit voter fraud.
And there is a penalty for voter fraud. I believe at the federal level that it's $25,000 in fines and up to 5 years in prison. So that's a deterrent in and of itself.
Right. Up to now, there has not been any documented cases of significant voter fraud that has had any impact on the outcome of any riding in any election at the federal level. So just to put that out there, the Canadian election is one of the most secure elections in the world at the federal level, and Elections Canada and the people that work for that take a lot of pride in making sure that that remains the case. So when it comes to voter fraud, that's something that Canadians don't need to be worrying a lot about, because there are a lot of controls in behind the scenes to make sure that people are voting properly and they're voting, above board.
We hope that this information is helpful for you. If you do have any questions, Elections Canada has a very thorough website, and they do have an FAQ section on there, as well as you can contact your local Elections Canada office with your questions. So please, this is going to be a very important election for Canadians. Make sure you do your part and get out and vote.